Ryan Garcia has speed, power, and global fame, but being elite in boxing requires something more. So in this video, I am going to break down what separates the elite from the very good fighters and what Ryan Garcia is missing in his career. But before we do that, it's only fair that we talk about Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios, right? And this is a fight for the WBC welterweight championship belt. And as you can see, right, Ryan Garcia currently 24 with 2 losses, 0 draws. Mario Barrios 29, 2 losses and 2 draws. It's a brilliant fight. It's a great fight for Ryan Garcia to once again announce that he is the real deal, that he is what he says he is. Because as you can see here, Ryan Garcia lost to Rolly Romero, right? In a fight where he received a lot of criticism, and even I criticize him for not taking boxing seriously, for taking social media more seriously than boxing. And a lot of people had so much to say about that fight, but he lost to the better man, to Rolly Romero on the night. But before that, Ryan Garcia, right, beat Devin Haney in a fight which was one of his best performances, right? And hindsight is a beautiful thing. After that, it came out that Ryan Garcia failed a drugs test, and the fight ultimately was, was said to be a no contest. And, Devin Haney, sort of got his dignity back in that aspect. But if you look at Ryan Garcia's career, he's had a very good win against Luke Campbell, where he landed his trademark shot and really, put an end to that fight. And then, of course, he lost to Gervonta Davis in a fight where, people would argue that Gervonta Davis had the advantage because Ryan Garcia had the rehydration clause, this and that and so forth, right? But Ryan Garcia has something which I have always admired, but I've always thought that could be a problem. And that is something I call the gift and a curse, right? Ryan Garcia's left hook, he's over-reliant on that left hook. And that is the gift, because when he lands it, it's beautiful. When he's able to put that left hook together and win fights, it's incredible. But when he overextends it and fighters know how to bait him in doing that, it's a disaster and it's a problem for him. And that is something that we've seen throughout his career. But let's have a look at this one, right? Against Luke Campbell, Ryan Garcia, had been knocked down in this fight, and he was chasing the fight in terms of, having the better or having the upper hand in that fight. He was chasing the fight. And over here, he goes and try and do what he does, which is stalk and then, try and go to work. And look at what he does here. Boom, right? Feigns that left hook on the front foot and then lands that left hook as well, because Luke Campbell bites on that left hook. And look at that. Beautiful, because he knows that is the shot to throw. He's been practicing this shot his whole life. And it's a shot that when he lands, as I said, it's a beautiful thing. However, the issue that Ryan Garcia has is because this is probably the only shot that he's practiced his whole career and knows how to throw so much. When he faces a very, very good fighter that knows how to, get around the left hook or allow him to throw the left hook and then find a solution to that left hook, Ryan Garcia finds himself in major, serious trouble. And as you can see here, against Gervonta Davis does exactly that. He baits Ryan Garcia into throwing that left hook. He then slips on the outside and then lands that big left hook of his own. And because Ryan Garcia, as I said, he overextends, he believes in that left hook so much that he makes mistakes when he throws. And I'm going to show you the mistakes he makes, right? So, stalking him, trying to land that left hook. That's all he's thinking about, left hook. And then, as you can see, Gervonta Davis slips on the outside of that left hook. And look here, Ryan Garcia's, right hand does not come and cover his chin quicker enough. And this is where I go, he's overextending the left hook and making mistakes. So Gervonta Davis knew that all he has to do is slip on the outside. Timing is everything. He times that, slip on the outside, and then Ryan Garcia is exposed on his right hand side. And that's what Gervonta Davis then goes and land that beautiful left hook and drops Ryan Garcia, right? Different angle. There you go. Perfect angle. So Gervonta Davis slips on the outside. Ryan Garcia, because he's overextending and making silly mistakes, his right hook or his right hand is way too low. And so then Gervonta Davis can come up top with that beautiful left uppercut or left cross or left hook. He comes, it's a left hook, but you could throw an uppercut there if you slipped on the inside, but he slipped on the outside. So then he's going to throw that left hook. And as you can see here, he lands the beautiful left hook. Boom. And that was the beginning of the end for Ryan Garcia. So look, as I said, the gift and the curse, the over-reliance on that left hook is a problem for Ryan Garcia. And the reason why this is a problem is because over the years in boxing, we have seen elite boxers have different, punches, different things in their arsenal, different, weapons in your armory that they can throw. Ryan Garcia, on the other hand, in my opinion, so far that I've seen him and I've watched him closely, just studying the way he fights, he's over-reliant. And the only thing that he has in his favor is that left hook. And that's a problem, because if you're finding it difficult and you can't land the left hook, what are you going to land next, right? What is the next step? Because Ryan Garcia has a good jab. Yes, absolutely good, decent jab. But have you got the straight, left hand because he's a southpaw? Have you got a straight left hand, that comes after the jab? Is he double jabbing and then coming up with a different shot, like a right uppercut or a right hook? I don't think so, because Ryan Garcia is only focused on that left hook. And that is the problem. And for me, in this fight against Mario Barrios, I feel like I can see the same thing happening here, where, Mario Barrios is going to exploit the mistakes that Ryan Garcia does. And, exploiting those mistakes, as we can see where Gervonta Davis did, and Luke Campbell couldn't do, because, Luke Campbell was more afraid of what he was going to receive from Ryan Garcia rather than setting the traps, which Gervonta Davis did so much. I feel like, Mario Barrios is probably going to do that, because if anything, Mario Barrios has been studying Ryan Garcia and knows that, there are holes in his game that he can exploit. But equally, you would expect Ryan Garcia to be, switched on. You would expect Ryan Garcia to have learned from his mistakes. Let's put it that way, right? Because if he knows that Tank Davis overcame that left hook by, slipping on the outside and countering with his own left hook, if he knows that fighters will be, learning his ways and his mistakes, then he needs to have worked on ways of landing different shots. Like I said, maybe the right uppercut, right? The right hook, maybe disguising the left hook more, right? Maybe feinting a bit more on the front foot before landing that left hook. Maybe dropping the double jab and then putting the right hand behind that. Because that is the only way that Ryan Garcia can be not predictable. Because at this stage in his career, Ryan Garcia is very predictable. And as I said, that left hook is the only thing that he can rely on. And when it's taken away from him, when, fighters find a way to slip on the outside or slip on the inside or stop Ryan Garcia from landing that left hook, he's found wanting. He doesn't know what to do and he doesn't know where to go next. So look, I'm expected to see Ryan Garcia with an improvement in his defense. If he's going to go forward and use that left hook, then he has to, find a way to cover his defense, to cover his back when he's in trouble. And for me, if Ryan Garcia cannot find a way to overcome the flaws in his game, then it is going to be really difficult to hit elite level, because every good fighter, every elite fighter, or every excellent fighter is going to find out that Ryan Garcia has holes, and that holes comes to the fact that he's over-reliant on his left hook. And that is not going to make any fighter elite. If, the power punches that you have is one, if your way of getting to the opponent is just one way, and that is the left hook, then that cannot be elite. Then you can't be elite because you're going to get found out every single time you stepped up, right? Every single time that he steps up, he's going to find out. If he hasn't got any other, weapons in his arsenal, in his armory, apart from that left hook, then he's in trouble. Then every time he steps up, he's going to fail. So look, Ryan Garcia, as I said, has to show something different in this Mario Barrios fight. And he has to show that the only thing that he's got in his armory is not the left hook, but also something different that he can bring to the table. Because otherwise, he's in big trouble. And without that, he cannot be elite. Get in the comment section and let me know what you think about this.